Well folks, we are back with another year full of amazing keeping it simple sew-along designs. I'm so happy to announce the first KISS project of 2023 will be this stunning butterfly bouquet cushion. The cushion consists of 4 cute blocks that can be made in the 4x4, 5x5, 6x6, 7x7 and the 8x8 size hoops. In this video tutorial I will show you the stitch out of block 2 and the construction of this wonderful cushion. We recommend you follow our photograph written instructions in conjunction with this video tutorial. You can receive a 30% discount on the butterfly bouquet cushion if you join our January KISS Facebook group. You will also find all the competition details there as well. I will leave a link for that Facebook group in the description of this video. If you found this video tutorial useful, please like and subscribe. Begin by hooping up cutaway stabilizer in the hoop and load the design onto your machine. Use applique scissors for trimming the batting and fabric. Then place batting 1 on top of the hoop and stitch the batting down. Now remove the hoop from your machine and trim the batting about 1 to 2 millimeters from the stitching. Stitch the placement line for the background. Place fabric A right side up on top of the hoop covering the placement line and stitch down. Remove the hoop from your machine and trim the fabric about 1 to 2 millimeters from the stitching. Embroider the quilting. Stitch the placement line for the first border piece. Place a piece of fabric B on top of the hoop wrong side up with a 1/4 inch crossing over the placement line and the excess pointing towards the bottom of the hoop. Stitch down. Fold over, hold taut and stitch down. Do not trim. Repeat the flip and fold process for the remaining corners using fabric B. Do not trim. Repeat the applique process with the right leaf using a piece of fabric large enough to cover the placement line and trim. Repeat the applique process with the left leaf using a piece of fabric large enough to cover the placement line and trim. Embroider the small leaves, stems, vines, and satin stitch around the large leaves. Repeat the applique process with the bottom butterfly wings using fabric C. Trim. Repeat the applique process with the top butterfly wings using fabric D, trim. Embroider the decorative stitching and satin stitch around the bottom wings. Then embroider the decorative stitching and satin stitch around the top wings. Embroider the butterfly's abdomen and antenna. Repeat the applique process of the left flower using fabric E, trim. Embroider the satin stitch around the flower. Then embroider the flower center. Repeat the applique process with the center flower using fabric E. Trim. Embroider the satin stitch around the flower, then embroider the flower center. Repeat the applique process with the right flower using fabric E. Trim. Embroider the satin stitch around the flower, then embroider the flower center. Embroider the two small leafy vines. Well done, you have now completed the stitch out of butterfly block 2. Remove from the hoop and trim the seams about half an inch using your rotary cutter and ruler. Hold aside until all your blocks are made. Joining the blocks. Lay your blocks on a flat surface and decide on your layout. Start off by joining the blocks in rows. Place the first two blocks right sides together, pin and stitch the side seam on your sewing machine. Stitch just inside the border already stitched on the blocks, so the stitching will not be seen on the right sides later. Open out the stitch seams and iron flat. Repeat the above process to join the two remaining blocks together. Next, join the horizontal rows to each other by placing the first two rows right sides together and pin and stitch the seams on your sewing machine. Stitch just inside the border already stitched on the blocks, so the stitching will not be seen on the right side later. Open out the stitch seams and iron them flat. Prepare and add borders. Measure the length across the blocks, through the middle of the blocks to give a more average measurement. For the borders, decide how wide you would like them. We made ours 3 inches 8 centimeters wide. Cut 2 strips of border fabric, fabric G, the length you just measured, then cut 2 pieces of batting, batting 2 to match. Next, we are going to secure the batting to the border fabric. Lightly spray temporary adhesive to the batting and then lay your fabric right side up on the batting. Place the cushion on top of the border fabric with the attached batting, right sides together, pin or clip together. Stitch together with a 1/2 inch seam. Pinning and stitching on the wrong side of the cushion means you can make sure you're stitching inside the border line on the front of the cushion. This will ensure this line of stitching will not show on the front. Trim back the batting from the seam allowance. Fold over and iron the side border down neatly. Top stitch the border for a neat flat finish. Repeat for the opposite border. Trim the borders so they are in line with the sides of the blocks. Now measure one of the side edges without a border, including the new border width in your measurement. Cut 2 strips of border fabric, fabric H, the length you just measured, then cut 2 pieces of batting, batting 3 to match. Repeat the temporary adhesive spray that we did for the first 2 borders. Place the cushion on top of the border fabric with the attached batting right sides together. Pin and stitch a 1/2 inch seam from the edge. Trim back the batting from the seam allowance. Fold over and iron the side border down neatly. Top stitch the border for a neat flat finish. Repeat for the opposite side of the cushion front and trim the borders to make them even. Preparing the backing. Starting with the fabric eye backing piece, fold one of the long edges over 1/2 inch, wrong sides together, and press with the iron. Then fold over a second time another 1/2 inch, and then press. Stitch along the folded edge to hold it in place. Repeat the same process with fabric J piece. Adding the backing to the cushion. Have your cushion front right sides facing up. Take the fabric eye backing piece and place it wrong side up on top of your cushion front. Have the folded edge of fabric eye meeting up at the seam in the middle of the blocks. And then we need to measure out and mark the placement line for fabric J. Measure 2.5 inches in from the folded edge of fabric eye. Pin the fabric eye piece in place. Then place fabric J on top of the opposite side of the cushion, wrong side up, with the folded edge of fabric J in line with the mark you made on fabric I. The two backing pieces should form an envelope with the hem sides overlapping each other. Pin in place. Turn the whole cushion over to the other side so that the wrong side of the blocks are facing upwards. The backing pieces should not fall off as you have pinned it. And stitch the backing and the cushion front together with a 1/2 inch seam all the way around the cushion. Adding the front lining. Place fabric K front lining right side up on your work surface. Then place the cushion wrong side of the blocks facing up on top of fabric K. Pin together, leaving a gap between 4 to 9 inches, 10 centimeters to 23 centimeters for turning through later. Stitch together from the back of the borders with a 1/2 inch seam. Leave a gap for turning through later. Trim the seams of the cushion to a 1/4 inch. This will remove the excess backing fabric and lining fabric. Leave a 1/2 inch at the opening and clip the corners. Turn the cushion out through the opening. Your cushion will still be wrong sides out. Use a chopstick to help push out the corners. And now iron. Hand stitch or glue the opening closed. Turn your cushion out for a second time through the envelope created from the 2 backing pieces of fabric. Use a chopstick to help push out the corners. Now give it an iron. Before we top stitch the borders, straighten up the envelope backing and make sure it is lying flat. We use pins across the pillow to keep it flat. Top stitch the outer edges of the cushion borders. Make sure your top thread is the same colour as your border fabric, and the bobbin thread is the same colour as the backing fabric. Remove the pins from the back. Optional. Add some sort of closure to the back of the cushion if you feel it is necessary. We added cam snaps to the back of our cushion. To do this, simply measure along the seam, decide how many cam snaps you need, and distribute them equally. Insert a cushion insert or stuff with stuffing. Your cushion is now complete. Enjoy. Well folks, I hope you enjoyed our tutorial on the butterfly bouquet cushion. For more beautiful designs like this, shop at sweetpea.com. That is swpea.com. That's all from me. I'll see you next time for another wonderful machine embroidery sew along. Please remember to like and subscribe.